Hello, good day. Yes, viewers. In this virtual class, we will be looking at how what we call arithmetic progression. We're going to look at introduction to arithmetic progression. Short form for it is AP. So, first thing we have to understand from arithmetic progression is that we must understand this word sequence. Okay, we understand what sequence is or what sequences are. Now when we talk about sequence, we are looking at a list of numbers that follow a pattern or a rule. Let's take, for instance, we have 5. Maybe we'll keep on adding 3, 8. The next one is 11. Like that. Maybe we have another number here, 7. We keep on adding negative 2 to it. This will be negative 9, negative 11, negative 13. All these are what we call sequence. They are numbers or list of numbers that follow a pattern or a rule. Okay, now having understood what sequence are, now remember each of this term here, each of this number here in a sequence, they are usually known as term. Each number there is called what? They are called term. Then let's now look at what we call the arithmetic progression. So arithmetic progression is a sequence in which there is an increase in an increase or a decrease in a consecutive terms, by adding or subtracting a number to the term. So it simply means that for you to obtain an arithmetic progression, it is a progression or a sequence in which the number either increases or the consecutive term increases or decreases by adding either a positive or a negative number. Either you are subtracting or you added a number to the first term to give you the next one. So that particular number will make the next term to either increase or what? Decreases. So such an arrangement or sequence or pattern is what we refer to as what? The arithmetic progression. And that term that you keep on adding to it is called a constant, and that constant is referred to as a common difference. So in an arithmetic progression, this is what you have here. We have what we call the nth term, so it can be represented with Tn, Un in some cases. Sometimes you see nth term, or sometimes written like this. All this terminology they mean to the same thing. So, and the formula, all this one are equal to what? A plus open bracket n minus 1 bracket d. Now let's now define this. This one, a there is the first term. We call it the first what? The first term. Then yn, n is the number of terms. Number of what? Number of terms. Yd is that constant you keep on adding to either increase to make the sequence to be increasing or decreasing. So we call it common difference. Common difference. Now sometimes we have a Tn, which is the same thing as Un, which is the same thing as nth term or the last term, is A plus open bracket n minus 1 bracket d. Now, if I want to know the first term now, if you try this, let's assume that n, we're assuming that n is 1. That is where you get T1, which is the first term. You see that in that place, what will be left here is, we are saying anywhere you see n, we put 1 minus 1 bracket d. So the first term T1 is usually A. is usually what? A. Then if you are looking for the second term, look at second term. T2 is A plus. Now in place of n, you put what? Put 2 minus 1 bracket D. So the second term is what? E plus what? Plus D. Okay. So what do you notice here? That the second term here, T2 is what? Is T1 plus what? The common plus the common difference. Okay. So T2 is T1 plus the what? The common difference. Now assuming we want to do for T3, that means n is 3 at that time. This becomes A plus what? 3 minus 1 bracket D. So T3 is A plus what? 2D. So in essence, so what is T3? T3 is simply means, if you look at this one now, is we are just saying that the third term is what? You are saying A plus D plus D. Is it not 2D? So your T3 is what? A plus is what? Is A plus T2. Or we could say that T3 is what? Is T2 plus what? Plus a common difference. So what is now your common difference? Now the definition of common difference here means D is what? Is either what? T3 minus what? T2. This will give the definition to the common difference. So from here we can see that D also, from here, D also is T2 minus what? T1. So the common difference is usually D is either what? We call it, either we're saying second term minus first term. Okay? So D is second term minus first term, or D is third term minus second term. So from here now, look at D, T2, T3 minus T2, D, T2 minus T1. This is how to obtain the common difference. Okay, so now let's practically handle some example here before we proceed. So these are what we should know as regard to introduction to arithmetic progression. Now let's take a look at some questions. Let's be very clear here. Okay, imagine we have this sequence. Here. Let's say minus 5. We keep on adding 2 to it. This one, the next one will give us minus 3. Add 2 to this, gives minus 1. We add 2 to this, that gives 1. We add minus 2. We're adding 2. We add 2 to this, that gives 3. To this gives 5. Continue like that, this manner. Now imagine this sequence, and then ask you now to find the what? The nth term. Say find I here say nth term or Tn or last term. They all mean the same thing. Or you are asked to find Un. Then another time is okay. Also find the 100th term. 100 term. So how do you go about it? The first thing to do is to take note of this formula. You have to rewrite this formula. Let's assume I say Tn is equal to A plus open bracket n minus 1 bracket the close bracket by multiplied by the common difference. So the first thing to do is that we must find what? We must find the common difference first. Let's find the common difference. So we define, say where the first term is the first number given here is negative 5. Then we said that the common difference d that time is either we are saying the second term minus what? Minus the first term. So it's t2 minus t1, or is either t3 minus t2, either t4 minus t3. That's how it goes. So let's quickly use that to obtain this. The second term, t2 means second number here. So it's negative what? Negative 3 minus t1 minus, and the first term here, which is t1, is negative 5. So we write negative 5 here. So here will be d equals to negative 3. Negative negative together like this become positive. So d minus 3 plus 5 means 5 minus 3, and that gives 2. So the common difference is 2. So we are finding the n term. But the n term simply means which of this sequence or this series is giving birth to all these ones. We want to derive it. Okay. So in that case, n is not given, so we will make n the subject of the formula. We're expressing in terms of n. Let me use that word. So you come here and indicate here. So say tn. The first term you indicate it here. The first term is negative 5 plus open bracket n minus 1. The common difference here, d is 2. So you open this bracket here. This will be tn is equals to minus 5 plus 2 times n, that gives 2n. 2 times minus 1 is minus 2. So tn is minus 5 minus 2 plus 2n. So tn here, we can bring this 2n here, minus 7. So it means that this is the sequence that is giving birth to this one. If we say t1 now, anytime we say t1, that means n is 1. If you put 1 here now, 2 times 1 is 2, minus 7 gives minus 5 here. So if we put t2 now, let's try t2. 2 times 2, 4. Now 4 minus 7 gives negative 3. If we put t3 now, that means n is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Now 6 minus 7, you see, give negative 1. So this is the series or sequence that is giving birth to this. Okay, this is another way you can handle it. They say you should find the 100 term. What is 100 term? 100 term means we are talking about here 100 term, t100 or t so t100 is equal to, as looking at a, we're using this a plus open bracket, in place of n you put 100 minus bracket d. So let's find t100. What is the value of a? Negative 5, so we put negative 5 here, plus this one is 99, d is 2, which we've already obtained here. So here will be what? Negative 5 plus 100 and 198. We do this, take 5 from this, it become 193. So it means that t, the 100 term of this will become 100 and what? 93. So you can also use this one. If you put 100 here, we put 100 here. 2 times 100 is 200. 200 minus 7 is 193. Okay, this is how to approach a sequence. This is introduction to arithmetic progressions. Remember, the first thing you must know with arithmetic progression is that you must understand sequence. Know what are sequence, or what is a sequence? A sequence is just a list of numbers that follows a pattern or rules. Look at this number now. it has a pattern. That's a rule. The rule is that you are assigning adding plus 3 to exercise. So you see that the sequence what keep on increasing. Keep on what? Increasing. So please, if you find this video very useful, help me subscribe, like, comment, and also share. Please. See you in my next virtual class.